All right, we are live, everybody. Welcome and thank you for tuning in with us live. My name is Barney Kunze. I'm the creator and founder of the Animal Wellness Summit as well as the Wild Success Summit. I know many of you that are going to be tuning in already know who Carol Komitor is, and some of you have no idea who she is, but she's this other wonderful, beautiful person that is on the screen with me. So welcome, Carol.
Hi, Barney. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. So I am going to ask not only you, Carol, but everybody else for, I'm going to call it grace and patience, because I'm testing my comfort zone, but not only that, but also testing what I can do from a tech standpoint, because I have VIP members on our Zoom call, which is where you're on, and then also on Facebook Live. So just bear with me if things seem a little clunky. It's because it's my first time doing this. But you know what I really believe in is taking imperfect action. And you all know that when you participated in the summit the first year with the Animal Wellness Summit, we had some fun experiences with that. But nonetheless, I don't want to waste any time because I know that you have, you're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs looking for something to do. And so can you tell us, before we get into your presentations and the one that you did last year and the one you're going to be doing this year, I would really love for you to just give us like a brief summary and a history of like Carol Komitor, where you are like today, kind of what got you into the work that you're doing, what work do you do, because I think it's really important. And then before you share that with me, I just want to let everybody else knowing, wow, everybody else who's on live to just know that if you have questions or anything, you can put them in the comment box. I can't guarantee that we're going to get to all the questions because I feel like this is going to be really popular, but I will do my best and we can also moderate after. But for right now, just go ahead and drop a comment in saying, letting us know where you're calling or tuning in from live from around the world. And Carol, so now why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your story and what work you do?
Okay. Well, I'll make it a nutshell because there's lots of stories within the stories. And I became involved with animals early in my life. I've always been connected to them. I was a vet tech for 13 years, and I was like a nurse practitioner for my veterinarian. And it was before that was before the amazing technology that has taken over veterinary medicine, and where the veterinarians actually have veterinary nurses now, not just technicians. And so I was in the early days of the veterinarians trained their techs, and I ended up working with an owner of a business that had a satellite clinic to a central hospital with 18 other vets. And we had the top of the line equipment in the major hospital. And so I would travel back and forth running the private practice, but then overseeing the patients at the hospital and participating in surgical assistance and wound care and all kinds of different things. And part of my gift, I feel, is and my honor as well, is that I'm able to connect with the animals to make them feel comfortable no matter where they are. I didn't realize it was all about energy at that time. I didn't know what energy was as far as our bodies were concerned, or the animals' bodies. And so I learned that after I became a massage therapist and got involved with the Healing Touch program, became an instructor there. And as I worked with energy medicine with humans, I was getting questions about who I am and what I'm doing with animals, because people got wind of my veterinary technician background. So I soon then, in 1996, began a program called Healing Touch for Animals. It's a multi-level teaching that incorporates energy medicine, the involvement of instinct, and how we work differently than the animals work differently than we do. And so I train with that. And inside that program, in about 2003 or 4, I integrated Young Living into my program. And so as I progressed with my Young Living building, I didn't realize, like, I won the cruise the first year I put the program in because I had so many signups, and it was because of my curriculum and how valuable we found the essential oils to help us with that. And so this last year I made platinum, and I'm just thrilled with all the new things that are happening with Young Living and how we're incorporating those new things and the new oils and the products and all of the things that we have available to us through Young Living into our curriculum and into our just everyday lives. So that's a little nutshell. And I don't know how much further you want me to go, but you can ask me more questions later.
Yeah, no, that's good. I hopefully it comes through nice and clear. I had muted myself because I didn't want any feedback coming through, and then everybody was saying there was no sound. So I'm
Uh-oh.
no, it was good. It was about partway through. So I think that it was
Okay.
a little bit. It was just a little bit. So that's really cool. I mean, that is where just the work that you do, the certification that you have with Healing Touch for Animals, is something that's making a great impact in the world, not only the humans, but also the animals that are using it, or the animals that are getting affected and impacted by it, which I just think is so cool. So why don't we just talk a little bit about, we're going to do two things. By the way, those of you who are just coming in now, you can ask your questions, but I will do my best to answer them, or bring them to Carol, but I can't guarantee it just because of how these calls go. But Carol, let's talk just briefly about last year's presentation.
Okay.
One that you had was, I'm going to pull it up here for a second, the animals' energetic intelligence and essential oils. You talked about the energy system, less is more, and application. So why don't we just do, because again, it's really the basics in many different, fields of study, but just especially with the essential oils. So why don't you just give us like a brief synopsis of that presentation, and not like all the details, but just some of it, because it's quite a bit of great valuable information there. And then let's talk about this year's presentation. Okay.
Yeah, and I will review that as well in my new presentation, just briefly too. But the less is more perspective is because of the way that the animal's energy system works in comparison to ours. They have a much larger energy field, which helps them to monitor their outside surroundings, the energy that is around them. It helps for them to understand if it's a safe environment, or if it's something that they need to be on high alert and kick in their fight or flight response. So that instinctual perspective of who they are, 10 times bigger than we are, even the small animals. I have Patch here sitting on my lap. He may show up in just a few minutes, but for right now he's quiet. But their 10 times greater energy system allows them more awareness than what we have as human beings. And so they work differently. They work differently in their brains. They work differently in their energy system and in their comfort level and their understanding. With that 10 times greater energy field, they can also read us very well. And so they understand when we have an emotional upset, for instance, or if we are in total joy. And they get who we are because we are their people. And so, especially in our pets at home, they know us inside and out. And when we treat them with kindness, when we use our essential oils, they absolutely know that we are caring for them at the very best. The less is more perspective is because of that 10 times greater energy field. It's like I say, they have a bigger dance floor, so they can move with better ease than we do. And so their information comes into them and is filtered through them so that they can work differently. So when you apply a medication, when you apply an essential oil, then they actually require less than what we would. So for instance, with my kitty, one drop of Copaiba helps with his everyday movement, with his flexibility and his from an old injury from probably being hit by a car. That is what we think. That's why he is one-eyed at this point. And it was before, when I adopted him, he had sutures in his eyes, or in his one eye, where they had to enucleate it. And so on his left side, where his eye is also missing, he has some crepidation in his shoulder and in his elbow, and like the Copaiba eases with that everyday joint movement. And so, but one drop is good, where you and I might use 5 or 6 drops on a shoulder to help us with our everyday needs. So, so it's less is more for them. And when you have pocket pets or small animals, we do dilution of most of the oils, and help them to still receive all that they need, but to use a lot less oils. And when you have a 1,200-pound horse, for instance, or more, which a lot of times there are more than that, 3 drops of oil, of any one oil on an animal that big, is plenty. Because as we know how the oils are absorbed into our skin and then taken throughout the body through the circulatory system, it's an easy way to support the whole body, and not just little spots that where we apply the oils.
Right. Well, that is a common, like in holistic health, from the human perspective, from me having professional coaching experience in that there's the philosophy and principle of less is more with exercise. Some people think, oh, well, more, if a little bit's good, then a little more or a lot more is even better. And, you know, physiologically, with the way our bodies work, it isn't always the case, because we're all so unique in our makeup, but similar in same regards. And I remember actually Gary, I had the great fortune and opportunity to learn from D. Gary Young personally, and had spent probably 3 weeks with him in total at winter harvests, at the men's retreat up at his ranch. And I remember him saying that in the raindrop therapy, he said that the reason, somebody asked, well, why using, when you say use 3 drops? Because if you've been trained in raindrop therapy, they talk about using 3 drops. And he said, because 1 or 2 was good, 3 was just a little bit better, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, it didn't make that much difference. So and I'm just speaking purely from my own knowledge and training and education, and on the human side, that there was a specific reason. And he said that they found that it didn't benefit that much more. And he said you just end up overusing the oils.
Right.
Yeah.
So even with people, it's less than what most people use.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good thing, because some of the oils, when you're buying a high quality oil, like what's from Young Living, it's, you know, you want to make sure that you're using it and getting the most out of what it is that you're using, not just if you can get the same effect out of, you know, 3 to 5 drops that you can out of 10. Why would you use 10 when you can just use 3 to 5, right?
Right. And when you're working with the animals, 1 to 2 for the smaller animals, and 3, maybe 4 for the large animals, and that's really all you need. And
Right.
of course, we know the layering process, where we layer the oils. We don't mix them up unless we really know what we're doing. And and that's why I love the company that we're engaged in, is because they hold that integrity of the quality of the oil, but also their chemists really do scrutinize on what each of those constituents will do for each other, so that we can have the very best oils.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do have a great question, pardon me, that's pretty straightforward, from Janice. I would love to learn the healing touch and massage therapy aspects for animals. Should I learn massage for humans first, or would it matter?
No, you really don't. In order to get into my program, you don't have to know anything else beforehand, because we teach you the energy pieces of it. I do not teach massage. It's an energy medicine practice. So we work with the energy system of the body, the energy centers, And when you do that, it helps to support the whole physiological response of the body, from starting with relaxation and then all the things that happens with that relaxation response. So it's actually proven chemical exchanges from the brain when relaxation takes place, as you know, Barney, with exercise, that when there's endorphins released, then it really kicks in the rest of the physiological response of the body. And they can check out a chart that we have called the physiological response chart on my website. And so in order to do the Healing Touch for Animals work, it's a online course. There's an online course for our level 1, and then you can do an in-person class around the world. So we teach classes a lot of different places, and I have several instructors that are just amazing, and everyone is involved with the essential oils, teach them as we go along, and it's a lovely experience to see how they are married together, I guess. And I call it the blending the wisdoms. When you have the energetic, it's kind of my tagline as far as bringing the essential oils together and the energy medicine awareness together.
Right. Yeah, it's important, and it is. I mean, I've experienced that, not with the heat with your course, but just on myself and using it in our family. It's pretty cool when you see that. And Angelique, so welcome, Angelique, all the way from the Netherlands, says, love the oil.
Hi, Angelique. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
I'm guessing you know who Angelique is.
Yeah, I do.
There might only be so many people with the name Angelique from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So she just said, love the oils during HTA, so Healing Touch for Animals. They're really great together.
Yeah. Good. I can't see everybody's comments, so thank you for translating.
Yeah, the way, and that's the one thing where the way I've set this up is you're on Zoom, but there's about 33 people on.
Oh, good.
Yeah, on Facebook Live here, so you'll see this after, but don't worry, I'm making us both look really good.
Okay, awesome.
And then she said, see you in 2 weeks. So this on your site, is that something? Is it easy to pull up on your website?
Sure. Yeah, it's www.healingtouch4animals plural.com. So healingtouch4animals.com, and they can go into just the curriculum, and the physiological response chart will show up.
Because I'm actually, just so you know, I'm showing your website right on the call.
Oh, cool.
Where do I go?
I think, oh boy, my administrator is the one to do that, really. So Drea, it's if you look at the online course or the course curriculum, the chart is in the store, so you can look on the store to show the chart too. But I'm not sure quite where it is.
Yeah, I probably should have put you on the spot.
And how does it work? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just got workbooks and certifications. Well, I mean, you guys can go online. I just always like to do that because I like to.
Yeah, I should have prepared better for that. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. You didn't know I was going to ask you that. Posters? Is it a poster?
Yeah, it's a chart that we have. Yeah.
Physiological. Here, I found it.
Okay, super.
Okay.
Yeah, so it shows how, with the physiological response chart, how it starts with relaxation, and that's what the work does. That's what our oils do, right? Our oils also help us to relax. And so when relaxation kicks in, our physiological response is to release the endorphins in our brain. And then from there, it tells our muscles to let go. So those tight muscle bundles that we hold on to actually soften, and more circulation comes in. And then with that blood flow, it oxygenates our body properly. And that oxygenation is what takes away the ischemia or the tight muscles or the soreness in our muscle tissue. And then the blood flow also brings in the nutrients and the hormones and all of the things that are listed there that that really do support us. But when we are also in relaxed state, in the center of that chart, you see where it says it regulates our immune system.
Yep.
If we are working with an autoimmune disease, then it's raised up, right? And if we're working with a disease process, we want to tap down or raise the, sorry, I said that backwards. We want to raise the immune system support when we have a disease process going on, but when we have an autoimmune problem, we want to tap it down.
Yeah,
So it's like our oils also do that. They help us to find that regulation that's proper. I call it our body rights itself. So we turn into rightness instead of what's wrong with us. And oils are just an amazing way to help us to do that.
And right as in R-I-G-H-T, right? Not,
correct. Yeah. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, because in some respects you could say that our body rights itself, that it does create and write new, that's a whole other topic, but I just want to be on the same page.
Maybe next year's summit, huh?
Yeah. I can, I put it up there, so it's still on there, the HTA physiological response chart. So you guys can, you can go there. If you're interested in it, you go to the site and then go to, I have it. You got to go to store and then go to posters and clipboards, and it's right up there. That it's $15. So not that much, but yeah, I actually, the nice part with this,
I didn't know it's going to have an infomercial. Thank you, Barney.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Well, I'd like to, first and foremost, I'd like to say that I appreciate and value and respect everything that you guys do, and am grateful for the work that you guys do, because it really, I've mentioned this before, and if you guys haven't heard this, I'd like to say this again. Let me pull myself up here a little bit bigger. But I've had people ask me, like, what the heck are you doing in Animal Wellness Summit? You're not even Animal Wellness Summit expert. Like, not in a pointing fingers kind of way, but just wondering, like, why am I doing this? And basically because 8 years ago, I had asked for clarification on my life vision, or my mission, vision, and legacy as a human being, and God showed it to me very clearly, to the point where it scared me. But it's really to educate and impact and inspire millions of people around the world to get better in touch and in tune with the plant and animal kingdom. So although I'm not an expert in those two departments, I am, and can say this very humbly, without tooting my own horn, that I'm an expert in being able to build communities, but networking. I love working with people, teaching and educating. But I let that hold me back for a while well, I'm not the expert, so how can I do this? But what I'm really grateful for, Carol, is being able to connect with you through Young Living, through the Animal Wellness Summit, because I just think more people need to hear about the work that you do. And I feel grateful to be able to share more about your stuff and shine a light on your work, because I know that there's people that would have never heard about your work, or may never, if we didn't work together, right? So
yeah, and I'm so grateful for your support as well, Barney, because I think that's what it's all about. We're to lift each other up, not to be the better than the other guy. It's like, let's walk together and create a happier, more healthy place.
Yeah, that's right. And same for all of you attending, or on live, or going to the summit for free, or joining and becoming a VIP member, or buying a flash drive, or supporting us in some ways with one of the paid options. We certainly appreciate it. It's not an obligation or requirement, because you can just attend the summit for free. But I also really do believe in that fair compensation and balance. And there's an old saying, when you pay attention. I had people who tell me this last year. They're like, they did in the Young Living Summit, and they did it for free. And then they're like, I'm just going to pay, because when I did it for free, I would kind of only tune into when I paid. I'm like, I'm going to log in there every day, and I'm going to get as much as I can out of it. So this goes for our Animal Wellness Summit as well, of course, but just
it's $15.
This is just our second year going through. And by the way, one other question, I'm just going to post this up here from Kathy. So Kathy was asking, is this similar to Reiki? I am a Reiki master and would love to use this for animals.
Yeah. Good question. I'm a Reiki master as well. I did that after I began my Healing Touch certification for humans. and then developed the animal program started teaching the animal program in 1996. So is it similar? Yes, it's energy work. It is a little more structured than Reiki. It is, I have something like 30 different techniques that we teach within the 5 levels of the curriculum, and I'm announcing that we have another level coming up next year. And that's so that I will get my rear end gear and get it written up. but it's also something that does work with all kind energy medicine, and yes, it is like Reiki. But it's different. It's different because it's has the structure, has the whereas Reiki is more of just placing your hand, not just, but placing your hands on someone and allowing the energy to go to the body where it's needed. And whereas we have specific techniques that incorporate that. And if you're a Reiki person already, it just enhances whatever else you do. So it's a nice combo.
Yeah, that's cool, because it's like if you're already trained in it, that this is, it's a complement and completion to be potentially more skilled and fine-tuned when it comes to applying that to the animals.
Right. And with Reiki, you have to be attuned by a Reiki master, in order to receive the energy that is available to us on a different level of healing. Right. And so it's a different process, but yet if you have Reiki in your system already, then it enhances the work that you learned with HTA. Yeah.
Well,
and you don't have to have Reiki, so it's not that you have to do that first.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And I think she was that's really good to know, because I can imagine that question would probably come up, but I know she is in Kathy. Hopefully that was helpful for you, Kathy. Is that it sounds like it is similar, but that you are a Reiki master, which is cool. But if you're listening and, well, I'm not a Reiki master, but I want to do this, well, then you don't have to.
No. And I started my energy medicine career through Healing Touch without the Reiki we don't have to have it. It's really about what you want, what you feel resonates with you, and then you go from there, because what we teach is totally standalone if that's what someone wants to do. So
well, that's cool. Angelique was just saying, I can tell HTA really works. Animals don't lie and react into the treatment. And so, I mean, even though I don't have the personal experience yet, I would agree with that they don't have a programmed or conditioned mind to, I don't know if this is going to work or not. They'll just respond one way.
Yeah, their 10 times greater energy field has this amazing sensory perception, and so they know if we're being straight with them or not. They know if someone is dangerous. They know if we are needing some help emotionally. So it's all about the energy that they hold, and when just like when we're balanced, when they are balanced, then their healing process and the natural physiological responses can take place. And then when we add the essential oils, it's just like a icing on the cake.
Right.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So that's really good. And Kathy said, so helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good. Hope to see you in an HTA class, Kathy.
Yeah. So Carol, let's talk about this year then.
Okay.
We'll go into, I want to let give away everything or all the details, of course, because you got to save the suspense for people to show up to the summit. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what this year's presentation and why people are going to want to make sure that they listen to it.
Okay, well, the title is Essential Oils for Animals, Seniors Through the End of Life. And this last year, it's just been in my face a whole bunch about what do I do for my animals who are at end of life? What do I do for my animal with euthanasia. How do I make the decision of having an animal euthanized? What do I do about the other animals that are left? What do I do about the people that are hearts are broken because an animal has transitioned? So it's a focal point that has been in my face a lot in my own private practice and with my students who come into the classroom and talking about the end of life. And we have an actual protocol within the curriculum that we teach at the level 1 course. Because every one of us, and the reason that I chose this subject, Barney, it's not the easiest one to talk about,
Yeah.
but because I chose this because we all will face the decision of euthanasia if we own an animal. And we will face those end of life because we will outlive most of our animals that we have. The exception would be maybe a parrot.
Right.
But other than that, our dogs and cats and our horses, actually, we can outlive them very easily. And we'll have multiple animals if we continue to care for them. We'll have multiple animals throughout our lifetime. And so to provide that end of life service for them, that end of life care, and the actual support that we can give them, not only energetically through HTA, but with the essential oils just alone, it's phenomenal. And then how to care for your broken heart because there's an animal that has passed,
Right.
or a person for that matter, because I use the same protocol for my human clientele when they're at their end of life stages too. And so we have to remember those of us who are left behind and know that the oils can help us in our grieving process and in the just in the whole understanding of life goes on, and how we can do that with the support of our essential oils emotionally. And the new Kunzia is just amazing. And I've just started using that since convention. And so I don't have a whole lot of experience with it so far, but I've been using it for myself just to work with my own personal life. I'm helping my dad in transitioning to a new phase of his life where he's in independent care with somebody watching over him and having meals fixed for him. And so it's a big deal for me because I don't have to do that any longer. Not that I wouldn't, but I don't have to worry about him not being by himself now. So the oils have helped me amazingly in that part of it. So it's all that end of life stuff that we go through, and how we work with our emotional well-being too, not just the physical stuff.
Yeah, well, that's and I just chuckled there for a second, not because what you were saying was actually funny, just because I saw your cat in the background there in the bed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's like, okay, I've had enough of that. Or it's actually too warm in here, and sitting on my lap, it's like a little oven.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, that was Patch.
Oh,
maybe he'll hop up behind me and you'll see him on the table. Or I guess he's over there now.
Yeah.
He's grooming.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the thing, because I was just, that end of life transition. I mean, we're not immortal beings. We're all gonna pass and transition, go to heaven, go to hell, wherever we believe we're gonna go, or transition to the spirit world, whatever is in your beliefs. And basically, it's like that with the animals. And I think that's like, I don't know if I mentioned this, but our dog Lucy had gotten sick and she ran away. And so it's been really hard. Actually, I haven't been talking about it a lot because it's been quite challenging. Because
is she still missing?
Yeah, she's still missing.
Oh wow.
So she basically just, long story short, she wasn't feeling well. So my wife moved her to the garage temporarily so she could clean up the room. And then she opened up the garage door to go get her like 20 minutes later. and she'd gotten sick again, and then opened up the door and she just bolted, went out. And this has happened before, when she was in heat before. And then she went to my parents' place and it was fine, but now she just completely took off. And so it sounds, I don't know, I think at some level to me kind of sounds a little horrible to say this, but a part of me feels like it would be easier to just know that, okay, she got run over by a truck or she died, because it's like it brings that closure. But it's quite frankly, it's weird. I didn't see this coming, number one. Number two, I wasn't planned and prepared for it. But I mean, when stuff like this happens, who is? And number three, it's like just the knowing of not being really sure, did a coyote or a hawk or an eagle or a turkey vulture or something else, because she's a small little dog, did something else get her? Did somebody pick her up? And they're like, oh, this nice little dog. She had just gotten groomed the day before, so we let her run around the house without her collar on, her tag. So
oh dear.
all was
Yeah.
on. It's
Well,
just like the
those
perfect
things happen,
storm.
right, Barney? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to not take guilt on, because it's just something happened, and I feel that oftentimes it's part of their path, and so we support them, but we also support ourselves in realizing that we gave them the best care that we could for the time that we were together.
For sure.
And
I don't, it's good because I don't feel, the guilt, but it's just, I don't know, it's really hard to explain. When I was listening to some of the presentations in the past, and I was listening to you talk about it now, it's inevitable. However many pets or animals you have, they're gonna, like you said, probably pass before you, or to consider euthanasia or whatever. And I was interested though when you had said about the parrot. Except parrots, can they live for a long time, or what's it?
100 years. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're amazing. That people need, if you own a large parrot, you need to put them in your will, so that they're well taken care of, just like you would with any other animal that you have, because we don't know when our time is either.
Yeah, that's true.
And so so it's like that's part of caring for our animals, is to make arrangements for them in case something does happen to us.
That's something that I have never actually even thought about, and I'm willing.
Yeah. So, talking to a family member, can you take Patch if something happens to me?
Right.
Can you make sure that he is well taken care of, and find him a good home if you can't take him in? And so it's just like it's part of the will.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just I mean, I'm not thinking about it, right? But you're.
Yeah, we don't think about it, because it's like we're going to get up tomorrow and be just fine. So, and we are.
Yeah. Well,
that's my plan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, Carol. Well, that's pretty awesome. A couple other questions here.
Okay.
And okay, so Penny was asking earlier, where are the classes offered? But there are, correct me if I'm wrong, so I can continue to keep being a good promoter for you, is that you can take Carol's classes online as well as she does in-person classes around the world. If I'm correct.
Yeah, me and my other instructors teach around the world. We have 2 instructors in the Netherlands. That's why we have a great following there, and they are awesome. And they're coming to, I think they're on their way to the Silver Retreat in Mona right now. So, and so they're Henriette and Ria, and then we have several here in the United States that help me with Canada, and we're going to be in Germany. The twins also teach in Germany, and I'm presenting in England, so I'm hoping to have a class there as well. So lots of different places. Canada, where we need some coordinators up there, but I have several students that are out of the Canadian group. So
from the Great White North.
Yeah, BC, and I've been all over. So
cool. Okay, well but then there is the online component too, right?
Yeah, just for level 1 so far, but that gives you nuances, and it's like some of the things that a couple of the things that I put in the summit last year are taught in the level 1 course, and so it's really I love my program for and I just because I love the way that we speak about instinct and we can explain why they are instinctual, whereas we are not any longer. We used to be, but we are not now.
Right.
And so and so we can explain that part of them, and it helps people then to understand our animal energies, how they work better, how we can facilitate for them for health wise as well as emotionally, and then of course for the essential oils.
Right.
So
Well, that's really good.
yeah.
Okay, a couple more questions. I got a bunch,
Okay.
and then we will get close to wrapping things up here.
Okay.
So Jennifer, hi Jennifer, she's a VIP member, was wondering if she can use this healing along the energy healing along with animal raindrop technique, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, absolutely. I have developed a technique called thumbprint application, which I shared last year. And then I have a balancing technique that is works with several different oils, like the raindrop therapy. But I use raindrop. I use it less than what is offered, even in our typical essential oil reference books. So I use a lot less than what they say, because the animal's energy system absorbs the oils at a whole lot bigger level than we do. So don't just use
Sure.
it, but just be really mindful. With the hotter oils or the high phenols, we need to be absolutely use less with the animals. And yet it can be so effective. And a lot of us have seen Gary Young demonstrate the raindrop on his horses, and remembering that they are humongous compared to they're not just 1,200 pounds, they're about 2,000.
Yeah, right.
And that they're also very healthy. And so when you're working with an animal who is not healthy, for instance, or has an immune disorder, or is working through a major disease, we really do have to be gentle and work with less application. And so you'll hear me speaking of that at the animal convention as well this year.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I didn't bring myself back on. Okay, so Kathy was just asking, I don't know if this is do you think that our animals stay alive just for us? Sometimes I think they need our permission to transcend.
Yeah, I absolutely do. Yeah. So sometimes we are, in great need, and they are there to care for us, and so they will buck up, I call it, and stay with us there. So what I like to do, and I'll talk about this in great detail in the presentation, but what I like to do is a contract with any animal that I bring into my care. And I don't maybe do that right away, but I let them know that it's a cooperative, contractual thing that we have together, and that if it comes to the time when it's if it comes to time when it's they need to leave, then they give me clear signs, and I can tell you that that happens.
Hmm.
And it's like you don't have to worry about them uh, just lingering just to keep you satisfied as far as your emotions are concerned. So I let them know if they're in trouble, then we do that.
Right. Well, that's, yeah. And that's one of the things, pardon me, I forgot to bring myself back on here. People mention that too, that sometimes with animals, they will, have you heard that, or do you agree with that? If they're not feeling well, even if it's a pet, like I had Deborah was just actually, I'm going to pull this up here. Deborah had made a comment. I had an elderly beagle that just disappeared while I was on vacation, and she was being watched by relatives. It was hard not knowing what happened to her, or having no closure. So Deborah's away on vacation. She's being watched by relatives, and maybe the he or she that I think just the beagle was not okay. Well, now it's like safe to go. Is that something that, like, does that sound weird, or is that something that you've
No, it happens more often than you think. We used to get that when I was a vet tech. We used to get that quite frequently. The
Really?
eating animal would take off, and if there's a movie out, and I'll promote an old movie. It's called Eight Below, and it talks about the pack mentality with a group, and it's like kind of a cheesy movie in some parts, but it's one of the best movies I have ever seen that depicts how a pack works and how leadership shows up and how leadership is actually passed to the next animal. But they have their instinctual awareness that if there's someone that's ill in the pack, they kind of isolate them and they don't bring them into the grouping or into their pack together. They're no longer a vital part of their job as a pack member, and so
Right.
they kind of isolate the older ones or the elderly or the ill or injured ones, in fact, and they let them die off in their own way. And that's like it's a natural way that they, I guess, take care of themselves.
Hmm.
And so the animals don't hold us accountable for that. They
Yeah.
know that they're dying. They know that they have a problem, and so they know through that instinctual life cycle that it is okay.
Right.
And I
Well,
think we humanize things too much with our animals.
right.
I think our humanizing is good on some parts because we need to understand ourselves. But when an animal is in that state, they need to go back into their instinct and go back into their own ways. And that's why
Well,
I like the contractual piece, is because they will, be fine one day, like my one kitty, Joey. He was fine one day, and within a 3-day period of time, he was uncurable with kidney disease, and his kidneys were shutting down. So, but until then, he was an old man, but he was just fine and loving every minute of his life.
right.
So, and
Well,
then also, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that, I mean, it's inevitable. Like we talked about before, it's just that it's not thinking about it. It's like, you have a friend or a family member.
Yeah.
And I know that this has happened to probably most of us where they died unexpectedly or an
Yeah.
accident or a fatal, an undiagnosed ailment or disease or something, and then just poof, they're gone. And it's almost like, I mean, it's going to happen. And my dad, who is known for having great one-liners or good funny sayings, he'd always say, don't take life too dang seriously because none of us are getting out alive.
Oh, how funny. Oh, that's funny.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that he necessarily made it up, but he would say that a lot. And or I shouldn't say it a lot, but at times when the pressure would get heavier, a lot of stuff going on, you'd say that, well, I mean, what can you do? Just that when you go through it, it's like Deborah was sharing about that with her beagle, and we had that with Lucy, where it was just that, like, sitting on the fence of like feeling guilty. What did we do? What could have we did better? Why didn't we do this? We didn't put the tag back on it, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, could very well be just her time to go. But the problem is we don't know. We don't know if somebody else is her, right? That's the hard part.
Right. And to hold on to guilt is like not serving anybody, including Lucy. So so don't do that.
No, and I'm not.
Yeah,
I should say that a part of me feels like I'm not, but it's acknowledging the reality for those of you watching live. You've had this experience already, or in the future, that when it happens, if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's the knowing.
Right.
And I'm the way I'm, because dealing with it right now is just being like, she's gone, she's not coming back, and I'm treating it like she's passed on, because you just don't know. And either way, it's inevitable. But
and I'd love to make a suggestion, Barney, if you're open.
Totally.
To ask her to come to you in your dreams or in meditation, and ask her to let you know that she's safe.
Okay.
And so whether she is in a physical form yet, or if she has passed on, that it will give you the ease that she's okay. and so on a spiritual level, ask your God or your belief system to give
Yeah.
you what you need.
Yeah.
And it's tough. So and what essential oil would you use to help you with that? I'll be the teacher.
Yeah. Surprisingly, the first thing that comes to mind is forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Oh yeah. Well, that absolutely. Yeah.
That's
But
interesting.
the Idaho blue spruce is just amazing. And if you still have a little drop or two, because
Yeah.
it has been out of stock and we're waiting for harvest, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have that essential oil, that is like the most even keel, emotional essential oil that I find it helps greatly with grief. And even though, with this guilt that you're feeling, or not guilt maybe, but just wondering,
Yeah,
it,
just unknowing.
not knowing, not knowing that it helps with that emotional evenness, so that you are able to then logically look at things. And I know you are logical about it,
Yeah.
but it's tough.
Yeah, but
It's a harder thing.
yeah, it's still that component. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And I do
Yeah.
actually have some Idaho blue spruce. I probably shouldn't tell
Good.
you, but I have 5 bottles. Because
Oh,
when I went to the harvest actually a couple of years ago,
oh,
they
you have the one that's upside down,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I have
And
that.
the label.
I
Yeah.
have 4 of them like that, and
Oh,
I have 2 of the other ones, and I actually just put some, surprisingly enough, but not really. I put some it's sitting over there, but I had some Idaho blue spruce in my diffuser today, so
oh, good.
good
Well,
timing.
I learned with a human that passed, somebody real special to me, my stepmother, that I put the blue spruce and a couple of drops of joy in, in the diffuser, and that's
Okay.
like my favorite go-to for grieving.
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
so maybe add couple drops of joy in there too.
well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for that. And I
yeah,
just, as we kind of wrap things up here, I know Deborah, hopefully that answered your question. I think that was great. Um, but she also put on here, will this work with chickens? So I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know
Yes.
what she was asking about. And pardon me there, Deborah, but I didn't, sometimes these comments come in later on this platform.
Uh-huh.
But Jennifer says thank you. Kathy says thank you, and I
Oh,
appreciate
sweet.
it. Kathy saying also no guilt, just gratitude. It's a great
Yeah.
reminder. And then she put
Yeah,
thank
and celebration of your relationship and how she supported your kids and your wife and you, and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That and then okay, Deborah just commented back here, and then we'll finish off here. Is did have a dream that let me know that she was okay a few months later, that she passed peacefully.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that was with
Good.
the beagle that went missing. So this has been really, really good. It's been
Good.
fun.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. I
yeah, you're
appreciate
welcome.
you.
So let's do one last thing.
Okay.
I know you're not short on this, but why don't you leave us with a little tidbit or a nugget of wisdom, final
Oh,
word of wisdom from Carol Komitor.
okay. When you use your intention when you apply any oil to an animal or yourself. And if you have nothing specific, then to add love to that drop of oil that you spread through your hands and then place on your heart or other places on your body. So thank you.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you, Barney.
Awesome. Well, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Everybody's commenting here, and thank you. You'll have to go back and watch the Facebook Live. And next time we do this, I'm going to have you on, or whoever else, the guest, on live on Facebook, and then we'll let people that can tune in on Zoom after, because it's been a little bit challenging because you can't see me, but I can see you.
Yeah,
And,
but you have your picture up, so I see you.
oh, you can? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, everybody's saying great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Thank you.
And just one final reminder, the Animal Wellness Summit's coming up in November. Now, this is not official yet, so you guys are the first to hear about it. But we are actually changing the dates from November 1st to the 10th until it's going to be the 17th until the 26th. Now, if I mess that up, don't hold me to it, but it's later in the month. And the reason for that is because we have the YL Summit. It's 2 weeks long. It's from the October 1st to the 14th. And then my assistant, Jamie, and I were talking. We're like, what the heck were we thinking? We only gave us 2 weeks turnaround time. So just know that everything else is the same. It's just that the starting point is going to be November the 17th until the 26th. But I will make that official, and you'll get an email and presenters. Carol, you're the first presenter to know that.
Wow.
Yeah, well, we'll let you guys know that because we just didn't, it's just been decided this week. And it just gives a little bit more breathing space because now we have a lot more VIP members that are members of both of the summits. And so we're making a membership so that you guys can just have one membership and then you can access everything, because there's quite a growing community of animal lovers, pet parents, and passionate young living essential oil users. And even if you're in another company or using another brand of oils, we never, it's always cool. We welcome you to continue to keep coming and growing with us through the Animal Wellness Summit. It just so happens to be that a lot of the information and the education does come from people who are experienced with young living. But that is what's coming down the pipeline. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in live. And if you're watching this as a replay, and the time is still yet to come, then you can go get yourself signed up at animalwellnesssummit.com, and then go check out Carol's website, Healing Touch for Animals. Let me make sure I've got this correct. Well, see, look at this. Popped it right up here. healingtouchforanimals.com. You can go there and check out Carol's site. So thanks again, Carol.
Thank you, Barney. Thank you so much for having me on your program. I appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.